right, this is Chuck Marshall with Life in Michigan, and I'm here with Chris and Aubrey Martinson, the owners of the Chelsea Alehouse. How are you?
Very good, thank you.
We're awesome. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. So you guys have been open just over 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, the priority has probably been beer and food. Was it part of your business plan when you started to do live music as well, or did that evolve over time?
Yeah, it was part of the plan. We weren't exactly sure how it would pan out, but we had. When I worked at the art center, I met a lot of musicians, and a lot of the people who've played here have they were either students there, or they were instructors there, or teachers like Jed Fritzmeyer that taught in Chelsea. So some of the people who play here, I knew beforehand. Other people, they have, kind of just showed up and said, hey, we want to play. So, yeah, we didn't build the stage right away. That took a few months before we put that in.
Because I remember when I first came, we came like 3 days after you guys opened up.
Sure.
And, that wasn't there then, but now it's there. And
yeah, we made a lot of changes since then.
Yeah.
A lot has evolved. But, music was always part of the plan, but, the priority was just getting open.
Right.
And then, kind of as we grew, we were able to add the stage, add more music, and having Wes Fritzmeyer come and say, hey, I want to play Wednesdays and Sundays as a regular gig. That was really important.
Yeah, it was him and George Merkel first playing on Sundays.
Yep.
Cool.
That was really important to kind of realizing the having regular music was really important, kind of a regular band that could develop a regular following.
Yeah.
And so, it was just George and Wes at first, and then it grew into Thunderwood after that.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, well, that's interesting. Mm-hmm. So I was going to say, you guys got like Sonic Sunday, you've got Bluegrass on Wednesday, you have live music on Friday and Saturday. Do you think that you'll ever get into doing a Chelsea Alehouse beer and music festival or something like that? Do you think you'll expand it even further?
We've talked about that, maybe doing a bluegrass kind of roots kind of thing, but it really hasn't been anything we've been able to do. It's just been, with the growth of a new business and everything else we're doing, it's been that's really been our focus, is to keep things moving in the right direction. So it'd be fun though.
And there's a lot of distractions, and we try to stay focused on the core of our business. We need to make sure that is good and healthy before we get too distracted by other things.
Well, you're doing a good job on the core, I would say.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, but it's not out of the realm of possibility, though. We have a lot of musicians who I think would really enjoy that.
Cool.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the cool things about Chelsea is the Sounds and Sights on Thursdays in the summer, and so it's like having a mini music festival every week in the summer, really.
Right,
so we're a stage for that too. So it's fun.
We had that outside.
It's been outside the past few years, so we'll talk with the committee again, and it's been in our patio, so It's worked out pretty well.
Yeah. That would be cool. So the big buzz has been that you've had Jeff Daniels here for some solo acoustic shows. Mm-hmm. I know that his son's band's played, a few times here. I think he just played last week or this week.
Yeah,
actually.
on Wednesday.
Wednesday.
Yeah. So how did you guys start working with Jeff?
So I met Jeff and Kathleen when I was the executive director at the Chelsea Center for the Arts, which doesn't exist anymore. That closed down a few years ago. They had purchased the building that we were housed in and gifted it to the Art Center. And as long as the Art Center existed, we were able to use that building. And so it was through our interactions, just because they were the benefactors of the building, that I got to know them. And then, we invited the Ben Daniels Band to play on New Year's 2 years ago. And I don't know if it was Ben's idea or if it was Jeff's idea, but Ben had said, hey, how about my dad pops in after his show at the Purple Rose? And I said, okay. I'm not going to say no to that. And, we didn't advertise it because it wasn't anything, I didn't want to promise it. He might get tired after playing a 3-hour gig at the Purple Rose and then not want to come here. So, it was just sort of like an added bonus. And to see people's faces when he just walks in with his guitar, starts getting set up, and they're kind of like, who's this guy? And then he gets up on stage and they realize, oh my God, it's Jeff Daniels. That was really fun, and it added a lot of energy to the night. And we did it again last year. He did the same thing, popped in.
Yeah.
And then last year the big difference was Jeff actually hung out a little bit and spent some time. And as he was leaving, I said, hey, door's open. If you want to play here, you don't have to just play with your son. You can have your own show. And he said, yeah, maybe when my wrist heals, because he had a broken wrist. And so I followed back up in February, and he said, sure, how about March? And he wants it to be a regular gig too, which is is the amazing thing. He just wants a place that he can be comfortable and play.
Yeah.
And
when it's close to home.
Yep.
And it's a cool place.
It's right around the corner,
right.
and we do live music, and he appreciates that. So yeah, it's just kind of I guess long story long how that happened. But yeah, it's basically I just kept throwing little nuggets out there, saying, hey, whenever you're ready, let me know, and he's finally ready. So. But now he's off acting again, so he'll be gone for 6 months. But when he returns, hopefully we'll find him on the stage again. But we haven't set any dates yet.
Nice, that would be great.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a wealth of musical talent, in Chelsea and in the state of Michigan. What factors into the music that you guys select to bring to your customers?
It's been a little bit of a challenge over the years, just because Chelsea's a small town and we're so close to Ann Arbor that even though it's not that far away, a lot of people, there's a little bit of barrier to get people out for certain bands.
Right.
Even though we've had bands that are touring around the state and the region and that. And really the bands that have been most successful here have been bands that have some kind of Chelsea tie, or they're more known in town.
Mm-hmm.
But we try to bring music in that'll that'll fit with kind of the scene that's already kind of happening here.
Yeah.
So that's really been the best.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, bands that have done really well. I mean, of course, Wes and Tommy grew up in Chelsea, and they've got a really good following for Thunderwood. And then bands that have done really well are like Understory, Jake Prince Trio, Moxie Strings, Blarney Castle. And I know that there are others that I'm...
Well, Mark Levingood, but I don't know if is there any Chelsea tie in there? I don't think so.
I don't think
they're
so.
just fun.
Just
I think he just knows Jason.
Yeah,
right?
Jason, and then they played in, Mark Levingood was in the Flat Valleys of Wolverine, so there's kind of a local following for him
way, so.
anyway. But yeah, it's mostly, the bands that have been most successful and the biggest draw have a Chelsea connection in some way, because Chelsea's a very supportive town of their musicians and of the music program at the high school, and people have watched the children grow up through the music program, and they've become fans of the students here in Chelsea, and then they are so excited when they can come back and watch them as professional musicians, and it's amazing. And it just, people love playing here because it's not just their mom and their grandma coming to see them for a concert. I mean, it's a whole town that comes out to see them, so that's been really fun.
Yeah, so
Mark Palms too. They're fun. Pretty north.
Mark Palms,
they're
you know
Manchester.
Mark from Manchester. Mark Palms, Creole du Nord.
Maybe.
Kind of Cajun Zydeco.
Yeah.
Oh,
music.
I think. Well, I don't know.
But they're close
I'm
by.
drawing a
Not
blank.
you,
so.
sure.
Yeah.
I'll make it a point to introduce you.
Oh, there you go.
Mm-hmm.
So at least to me, it seems like there's a lot of similarities between the crafts of making beer and making music. Do you guys feel like there's that synergy between the art forms that of making beer and making music?
I think so. I mean, there's a lot of creativity that goes into making beer, and a lot of the same people that got in, through Michigan. So, myself included, it's been a lot of folks started as home brewers, right? And then they moved on to, working in a brewery or like me starting a brewery. And, I play music. I'm not anywhere level of that I could be on the stage, but I grew up doing that as well. And I think there's a lot of folks that relate to that. And if you look at any music schedule now throughout the state, there's a ton of breweries. It seems like a lot of the venues options have gone away, but a lot of them come back through breweries, which is kind of fun. So I know actually Thunderwood's playing at Shorts and at Ordock and Marquette this weekend. So it's like it's that's where they're playing. So I think that you see that just because of the.
Austin has a question about beer. Speaking of beer.
Yeah. Sorry, I lost my train of thought.
Just music and beer.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely a tie, and it probably just kind of one. I think always going back to pubs for millennia, or not millennia, I guess, but centuries. There's been music in pubs, right?
Yeah. So the public house. Go there, listen to some music.
So
poetry,
maybe
whatever.
I don't know. I guess maybe back to the. But yeah, definitely centuries. It just kind of fits together anyway, I think. But
and maybe you're more likely to pick up an instrument or sing if you've been drinking.
That's true. I'm not. It usually goes down for me. I get worse when I.
Right. It's like bowling.
So yeah, exactly.
You get that peak. And
But yeah, I think you're right on there. I think there's a tie, but I think it's just because of a lot of the circles that, even with, you see a lot of handmade mugs or, in case of Witch's Hat, they have all beautiful glass, glass blown glass mugs and that. So there really is that tie there, and it's and those communities can come together and over a kind of a common thing. So it's fun.
So you guys recently started doing canning.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have have you thought about doing any like collaborations with a band or musician to do like a signature beer and can that?
We've talked, not necessarily, we hadn't thought about canning. It's not a bad idea though, but for Thunderwood, because they've been our, basically our house bluegrass.
That's what I was thinking, like a bourbon barrel Thunderwood.
We were talking, it goes really well.
We've been talking about like a barrel-aged IPA
or something like that.
Yeah, but one of the challenges is getting the production in line
with everything else.
Yeah.
Or Ben Daniels brown.
Oh my gosh,
BDB.
We're totally open to that idea. I love it. I mean, because Thunderwood is as much Chelsea Alehouse as Chelsea Alehouse is, and it is a natural extension to collaborate with them and figure out what what kind of beer we should make that would have their name on it, and it would be super fun. We actually can I talk about our big news?
I'm not quite sure which big news.
The
big news?
Well, yeah,
I suppose.
So one of our challenges that we have right now is our system is we have a 7-barrel system, and we're actually going to be moving our business downtown in Chelsea.
End of the year.
At the end of the year. And we're going to get a smaller brewing system so that we can do more small batches and have a little bit more fun with it. Because right now we just have to focus on getting the beer for, to serve the pub and for distribution.
Yeah.
And it's difficult to serve the kind of the creative desire because we just have, our batches are a bit large for the pub at this point.
I'll rephrase it a little bit.
Our capacity, our storage capacity is
No, but for one of our system, we were planning on growing and doing more distribution, and we're kind of changed that plan. We're going to focus on our pub. So part of it is that really, we could be, we can make more batches of beer and a little bit smaller batches that have more variety of beer on tap of the pub. So we're focusing on that on our
Isn't
next
that what
move.
I said?
Kind of. Yeah. We really haven't even put distribution, so it's not really but our rig is kind of made for that, so we're going to kind of downsize that to make that work better.
So
for a new
will you
space.
keep both, or are you just moving?
We're moving downtown. So we're going to still do the music, and we're going to be just brewing in a basement, which is another reason we have to have a smaller system because the ceilings are lower. It's going to be brewing in the basement, and then we'll have the pub and the music upstairs.
Wow, great.
So we're super excited.
Any time frame that you're thinking of?
2018 early.
Yeah. Right now we're saying January 2018 is to open up down there. We cross our fingers sooner, but that's realistic.
Wow.
Our lease is up here at the end of December.
That is exciting.
Yeah.
So you're right downtown. Yeah, it'll be great. So, a question I asked other people is, and I'm going to guess part of it is, your business, but what do you guys love about your life in Michigan?
Oh, that's a great question. I mean, I grew up in UP actually, so I've lived. I grew up in Negaunee, so 10 miles from Lake Superior.
Yeah,
and came down here to Albion College for school, and I've kind of been in this area ever since. I don't know. I just have always. I feel really. I've traveled a lot throughout the country, and we live in a beautiful country. But I always want to come back to Michigan. It's always I feel it's the lakes, and especially when I get home to the UP, there's just something special about it, and it just feels right to me. I don't know. I guess there's a lot of. I mean, you mentioned. I guess every place has its own unique circles of people and communities and that, but there just seems to be a lot of artists and a lot of musicians and a lot of talent around us all over the state, no matter where you go. And I think that just makes it for it's a fun place to be. There's always something fun happening. So we found that, we both went to Albion College, and even in the small town of Albion, there's all these interesting people that have studios and our studios that are just all around there that you'd never even guess, you know, and it's just that seems to be just everywhere throughout the state. So I don't know if it's inspired by the Great Lakes and our beautiful natural resources or what, but it seems to, I don't know. Does that make sense?
It does.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd have to say I agree. Like grew up on a farm in Pinckney, and so I like trees, woods, open spaces. You know, we live out in Grass Lake, and driving here to come talk to you two today, you know, it's like we have so many farms and cows, and you know, I like that about this area. And then Michigan in particular, I think is pretty amazing. We have a really strong background of people who work with their hands. And even people who, you know, right now, I don't necessarily work with my hands, but I come from people who do.
Yeah.
And so I think that I can tap into a knowledge base, and, you know, Chris can, growing up in the UP, knowing people who do that. And I think it just translates to people who know how to work with their hands for a living can also be creative with their hands and make music with their hands. And I think there's just sort of there's work ethic that's in Michigan that it translates to, you know, if you're a musician, you have it. If you're a brewer, you have it. There's just a lot of really hard-working people, but they also know how to just chill out and have a great time and take advantage of those times when they aren't working and having it, just kind of relax and grab a beer and make some music. And I think that's part of it. And of course the lakes and all of the natural lands, and I cry a little bit every time we cross the Mackinac Bridge. I try to be cool, but I'm like, okay, we're up here, and these days, like, we don't get up as much as we'd like to. You know, I was going to the UP, you know, 3 times a year for probably almost 20 years, and you know, now it's like once a year. But it's like makes it even more special when we finally cross that bridge and we get up there.
That is a special part of Michigan. I mean, I love the whole state, but there's something about the UP. I don't know what it is, but.
And what are those pointy trees I really like?
Black spruce.
Black spruce.
Swamps. Yeah.
I really like. I get so happy because they're just these pointy trees, and they're so perfect. It's just what they live.
There are a lot of swamps.
I love the pointy trees.
Yeah, the Sini Stretch.
Yep.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, they're there.
That's exactly where they are. So you can appreciate the pointy trees, and not really a whole lot else about that stretch.
All right, so I got one last question that is my humorous question, and it's what do each of you like to have for breakfast?
I go back and forth. This is going to sound silly. I'm a big fan of toast. I just love toasted bread with butter on it, maybe some nice jam. Yeah. So I usually, most days, I have some form of toast. When I'm feeling a little bit more, I don't know, it's actually not even that healthy really, but I'll have yogurt and granola. I'll do that.
All right.
But I just had there's a new little restaurant in Grass Lake actually that does an amazing breakfast, and they had, this is what I shouldn't be eating at breakfast, but it was they make everything from scratch there, and they had it was their own sausage gravy biscuits with their house smoked pork and pork belly.
I wasn't there.
And eggs on top. It was wonderful.
So what's the name of the place so we can bump
It's called Barney's.
Barney's.
Little tiny. It's right downtown, and it's they're doing a great job there.
They're fantastic. They make everything from scratch.
So yeah,
awesome.
That was I would say my best breakfast recently would be that last week.
How about you?
Mine. When I was working at home more, I work here more, but when I was working at home, if I have like salad greens, I would make an egg and put it on a salad, which is kind of weird, but so good. Mostly I just drink coffee and then I eat lunch. But if I am going to eat breakfast, I'd say like eggs over easy on toast is, so classic.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much for taking the time to talk with us. I appreciate it.
Of course.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Appreciate being here.
Yeah, thanks.